Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and people who identify as otherwise, and welcome to the second round of the SSRI GT3 Tier 2 Championship. Yes, it's a bit of a mouthful to say. We do apologize that we are a little bit late tonight, but a few things came up, so please bear with us. Qualifying are closing out as we are speaking. Not much I can say about that, as I don't have cameras on it either. But nevertheless, welcome to COTA for this great round of racing. Interesting track, 20 turns on this wonderful constructed track. Back in, what would that be? Oh man, I can't even remember. Must have been in like 2012, I assume. 5.5 kilometers of track the drivers will have to go through, as we get a good look over some of the copied corners on the track. They have copied the one we see directly ahead of this sniping tower, viewing tower. That would be from Turkey, the famous turn 8 there, and wow, just looking at turn 1, big uphill coming down that into the wannabe Maggots and Beckets after that. Anyways, interesting things have happened since last time we played. Kunos made a big update, so we are not running the LFM Bob tonight, and won't be for the foreseeable future. So a few of the cars that we saw last time out, especially the older cars, Richard Prixley, for example, in the Nissan, might be up for a good result tonight. But we'll just have to wait and see about that before we go and get some track action. I can just run you through the championship orders, at least the top 10s in the AM and the, what would that be, Silver Championships. In the AM category, Rounds of Vince are currently leading. Only one race have passed, so I'm not going to bother with the points. Rounds of Vince are leading ahead of Cohen Geens. Craig Hill in third in AM class. All three drivers of those are in McLarens. Nard Barloso in fourth. Michael DeGore, I'll pronounce it like that the rest of the evening. Michael DeGore in fifth. Steve Parker in sixth. Johan Huben 7th, Denise Pope in 8th place. Displaced Porsche in the AM category. Jesse van Dryle and Wouter van der Woerd rounds out the top 10 in the AM category. Great showing last time out for these guys. In the silver category, Andrew Priatko dominated last time out at Paul Ricard, leading the silver championship ahead of Milan Dumont. Frank Hopp would be the top 3. Aaron van Doren in 4th, he will not be racing tonight for unknown reasons. Bart Swearing in 5th, Richard Prixley in the Nissan in 6th. We are expecting him to do pretty well tonight in the Nissan. That's one of the cars that definitely saw some improvements in terms of bob after the latest update. Parties in 7th, Mick Schenkelins in 8th, Tremlin in 9th, and Dominic Chaumont rounds out the top 10 in this silver class. No CBSR drivers tonight, unfortunately, Anthony. Either nor you or Aaron could make it. Shame on you guys for that. Shame on you. We do like to see some great cars on the grid. Some of the liveries and the CBSR, definitely some of the more iconic ones in the championship. Anyways, tonight we'll have a 75-minute race. 1 mandatory pit stop. The drivers will only have to take fuel in the pits. It will be interesting to see how many drivers opts for tires. We saw last time out in the Tier 1 Championship that quite a few drivers opted for tires, and it seemed to pay off for a good amount of those who did. But the fuel-only strategy could also play out in this one. It's all about how much you manage to take care of your tires. A good track for racing COTA is a few of the corners does invite to overtakes, as 3 of the corners open up quite a bit on the entry into the corners, and all of them leading on to good straights where action can happen. Pretty clean race we saw in Tier 1. Interesting to see if we will see the same in Tier 2 tonight. These drivers are known to like some door-to-door racing. Always good to have that around going out. A few other messages. In SSRI we will start running a GT2 championship in the coming month after the update came out, so it will be interesting to see if people will sign up for that. Also, the 2.4 championship continues, and that will be ran. I think the first race is this Friday. I can't remember honestly. I get yelled my ear. Yes, it is this Friday. As we have some pictures on the grid. Richard Prixley took pole in the Nissan. A little bit surprising, though. I did say in the last race that he was one of the drivers that I would normally consider to be a top contender for a championship like this. Schenkelin 2nd, Parties 3rd, and Priatko last time's winner. He won that quite dominantly all the way down in P4. Before we go into the top AM drivers, Wouter wins and De Gore lines up side by side on row 3, both in McLarens. Vida van Dryle behind them. Iron van der Linden, Cohen Geens rounds out the top 10 as the drivers start moving. Good to see these cars on the track. Richard Prixley, of course, in the famous, or well, at least iconic Wild Things Racing livery. And the old version of that as well. The black and pink machine. We'll see him in the Nissan. Big wing on that car as well. Denise Pope, his teammate, are running the newer iteration of the Wild Things Racing livery. She starts down in 12th position in her Porsche. Interesting to see what she can make of this race. A good driver as well. She could be contender for a podium if things go her way around COTA. Though a lot of the people out there, they do say that they don't like COTA that much. A bit unfortunate that a lot of people goes like that. Personally, I don't like driving here either, but it's the same for everyone, and enough people who don't like the track might be an advantage for some. So positive attitudes from the drivers will surely help them. Also, I feel like this is the first time it have happened that we have had the same team taking pole in Tier 1 and Tier 2 in the races on one track. Wild Things Racing also on pole last time out in the Tier 1 race. I actually think that they took the entirety of the front row, if I'm not mistaken. My memory might be a little bit... maybe I've passed a little bit as I was racing that race as well, so I didn't get to enjoy the live broadcast. Still in the formation lap, coming into one of the corners that are prone for action. You can do a good dive onto the inside. The optimum line would be staying wide and then diving in for a late apex, getting as much acceleration onto the long straight as possible. But that opens up the inside line for moves there. Interesting to see if anyone will try it in this race. Honestly, I would be surprised if no one does. Perfect weather conditions tonight for racing. As you know, in Texas, it's normally either sunny or thunderclouds in the air. Tonight, overcast weather, 18 degrees ambient and 22 on the track. Not any wind to speak of. So these drivers will have the optimum conditions to go racing. Another driver that we probably should mention, one of the cars that I've gotten a little bit of a positive BOP would be Wouter Blishma in the 669 Honda further down the grid. Interesting to see if he can get that car going. A rough car to drive around this track, as that car is famously known for not liking curbs. And that is kind of a big part of this track, also not the best in slow speed rotation, and there are quite a few corners around COTA where slow speed rotation might be a good thing to have in your car, honestly. I've done a little bit of reading between last time and this time out in regards to the new Bob, and the people was saying that the BMW was Bob to be the new meta car, should become the new meta car, even though we don't see any BMWs that high up the grid. Joe Huben in the 99, it's not Joe, it's Johan, isn't it? It's at least Huben lining up in the BMW in 17th position as the drivers are starting to line up for the race start. Just one more corner, the last bit of heat. The drivers are trying to get into the tires and brakes, as we are about to see these guys fly up the hill into turn 1 for the first time this evening. Richard Brixley once again starts on pole position, and we are very close to go green. close formation there from the top 3 at least. And we are... Pause for dramatic effect. Racing! Drive-through for Partis, out of position in the start, unfortunate for him. Richard Brixley takes the start into the first corner, keeps the 3 wide behind. That's a Priatko, a little bit of contact there with Schenkelins, it looks like, through turn 1, though they both got out of that one. No yellow flag shown so far. Big sense that further down the field as well. Side-by-side action still up here for P3 in the race currently, though Partis ahead of them will have to serve that drive-through. Very unfortunate for him, as Schenkelins takes it out there. Makes the move stick, or at least keeps position ahead of Priatko. Priatko slides in there ahead of Wouter Wins in the Audi livery McLaren. Before we go through the very tight sections, side by side here, not the optimum line, you will lose a lot of time with that. Ooh, big slide from Priatko there. Really struggling to get the power down that Mercedes, trying everything he can to make up lost ground on Schenkelins, trying for the inside. No, it doesn't work. Schenkelins covers it off nicely. But this could mean that Wouter Wins will get the drive as he struggles coming out the corner. This now is the Gore going in, tucking in behind Wouter Wins as they go side by side down the back straight. A few cars further down doing the same. Gore and Wouter Wins both in McLaren's. Only setups are the difference on those 2 drivers. Into the braking zone we go, as it looks like Priatko actually makes the descent further up the field, but overshoots a little bit. Some contact looked like further down. Priatko even losing out the position there to the Audi driver of Wouter Wins in the Audi livery McLaren as he goes through. Ooh, unfortunate for Wins as he makes contact with, I think that was a Lamborghini. Is that a Lambo all the way up there? Is that Frank Hopp that I've had? No, it's Pascal Vida who had a great start to the race. Although it did put another driver out of, a good driver out of this, at the top at least, but we'll see what happens. Craig Hill now. Not the place to go too wide through there. A little bit later, avoids the contact. It does look like that will put him in a tough position. Frank Hopp on the, that would be on Wouter Wins. It looks like further down, NASCAR style formation, 2x2. For a short bit, great to see Craig Hill comes out on top so far with Cohen Geens behind him. It was Frank Hopp we saw before, and that's, it looks like Olsen behind him. 2 wide, almost 3 wide into the first corner. Big contact, that big hits 3 wide, people spinning out. That's Cohen Geens, and the other Audis Audi McLaren. Ooh, bad rejoin. Big contact there. The Honda got involved in that one as well. Peter Brookland had the worst of that that coming together. Looks like Denise Pope opted to go into the pits early, either to get out of trouble or maybe there have been some issues with her. We are a little bit unfortunate and sorry that we don't have the normal broadcasting style tonight as we were a little bit late. But enough about that. Wounter wins on the move down the outside of Bosch. Brave move from Wounter wins. Bosch in the Audi. I think it's the only Audi driver we have this entire season, both in Tier 1 and 2. Wounter wins on the move. Wins on the move once again. Looks like that's a Ferrari. Some kind of issues must have been had there from the Ferrari. I think that's Olsen's Ferrari we're seeing behind him. Good drive there from Wins, trying to get back up to the, it was Olsen's Ferrari, trying to get back up to the position where he started. Party still haven't served his drive-through. Huben in the pits as well. Early on that must have been contact, close there. Good aware driving from Olsen, diving out that one as the Audi comes in for the hit. Very unfortunate there. That Audi have been a little bit iffy so far this race, but we'll have to take it to the end and see what will happen. Not the easiest car to control. Though Sandro Bosch will definitely be doing everything he can to keep that car going and try to get it up into to top positions this evening of racing. Out in the front, Richard Prixley seems to be running away with it quite a bit, though Schinkelins and Priatko are still very close behind this leading pack. It looks like Prixley doing a great job, and yes, I have decided to pronounce it Prixley and not Pixley as it's spelled. Sorry about that for those who are connoisseurs on the language. Priatko and Digore close together with Vida ahead of them. As Priatko goes wide, that could lose him the position to, what would that be, Van Dryle behind Digore. Did make the move there, getting ahead of Priatko, which puts him up to, I don't know what that would be. Honestly, that's the Digore in 5th. That could be 4th, as Partis will come in and serve his penalty at some point. And yes, Crawford, you can cry all your salt tears that the GTR have become much better now and wasn't that good for you last season. We do like to see people crying salty tears, of course, especially when it's you. Digore is still in close battles here with Priatko coming up the inside. I was mentioning this earlier, that this is one of the corners that opens up for this kind of move, but Priatko couldn't get ahead of Digore there, which means that he will have to start in behind and losing quite a bit of time and traction coming out of the corner. As Van Dryle almost as close to Priatko as Priatko is to Digore. Big set there from Priatko, a little bit of an optimistic launch, putting Digore into a spin, and that's a little bit of a pile up there. 3 cars stopped on track. Van der Linden was involved in that one. That's a Lamborghini. I think Frank Hopp was the other, or the 3rd driver involved in that one. Digore going way wide there, giving the position to Frank Hopp. Wounter wins, almost back in contention now for an AM-class podium. As ahead of him, there will be both P2 and 3 almost, I would say. Who is that? That's Van der Linden, who is leading the train. So that would be 4th in class, that's in viewing side at least for Wounter wins. Partis comes into the pits to serve his drive-through, presumably, it looks like it. He will fall way down the order and will have to do a massive comeback drive to get back up there. Brockenhoven have spun out. There's another car involved there, so I can see another car. That's the Honda. That's the Honda of Blitzma as well. Coming together there in the penultimate corner, and the yellow McLaren also involved in that one. Big unfortunate moment. Woo! That seemed a little bit uncalled for. But anyways, the Honda of Blitzma now spun around, stuck there, returns to garage. I think that will be the first retirement of the evening. A bit unfortunate. Parker Olsen in hot pursuit of Van Dosburg. Ahead of him, Partis rejoins the track in 14th position. Could still make something out of this race, as there have been a lot of action this evening so far. Even though that there are only 21 drivers on the grid. great to see that the guys are finding it, or at least racing so close together. A little bit too much of a contact race so far for my personal liking. That's a track cut there, definitely from Van Dosberg. No way of getting around that. 3 track cuts and you're on the final warning before you get a drive through for cutting the track or taking advantage of the track limits. Good acceleration from the McLaren out of that corner. I do wish that I had memorized the corner names or numbers around this track before the race, but hey ho. It is as per usual here in the second tier. In regards to that, oh, the Van Drijl and Bouncer wins, but he just can't seem to find a way through. As this freeway battle between Frank Hub, Van Drijl and Bouncer wins, that's P5 Frank Hub in the Silver Championship and the 4th and 5th in the AMs. All together here on track, or at least in the race, not in the championship, but in the race, in those respective classes. On to the start-finish straight we go. And really see that that Lambo pulling a bit of a gap there to Van Drijl. Frank Hub got a great exit out of the final corner, preventing himself from having to defend too much into turn 1. See Bouncerwitz taking him much shallower line, but he does get on the throttle nice and early coming out of turn 1. He will have to stay close and packed and tucked in behind through the wannabe Magnussen Beckett section. He gets very close to Van Drijl there. Not an easy place to make an overtake, and a bit risky if you attempt it. He will be trying that as soon as he can. It looks like he does have speed. Big slide there from Bouncerwitz, really pushing that car a lot. Doesn't look like it cost him too much, except for some maybe slightly too warm tires. Little slide again there. He's really pushing the car to try and get the move done on Jesse Van Drijl and promote himself into 9th position in the race. He actually hits the apex much better than Van Drijl there, but it's Van Drijl in the way from him getting on the power. There might have been very close together, tucked in the slipstream. This could be an opportunity for Bouncerwitz to get this move done on Jesse Van Drijl. He does move out of the slipstream, coming into the corner at the end of the back straight. He is side by side before the braking. That should be moved, done and dusted from Bouncerwitz and Van Drijl. Good move there, nice and clean. Van Drijl now he will be looking up to Frank Hub and the back end of that Lamborghini to see if he can catch up to Frank as well and claim 8th place in the race. Bit of a missed apex, so this could mean that Van Drijl does have a slight chance of getting back into the action with Bouncerwitz. Through the wannabe Turkey corner we go, or Turkey turn 8 corner we go. A lot of T's in that sentence. A bit of a style studio as the drivers don't take too much of the inside curbing there through the penultimate corner. That could be the difference on T1 and 2 further up the field. DeGore and that's DeGore and Craig Hill close together coming into turn 1 in the 2 McLarens. Best placed McLarens at the minute. 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 as we are speaking. Good to see a lot of manufacturers being represented up there. DeGore tucks in behind Hill through the Magnussen Beckett's wannabe corners. He will. Ooh, that someone went into the grass. That looked like Priatko, or maybe that have been a different car. No, that's the lap car of Hubin, the '99 BMW. Good to see him still going. Van Drijl gets the drive-through penalty for track cuts. That's early in the race. He might be he might be picking up quite a few more of those if he continues to take advantage of the track limits like that. We did see him early on, definitely out of the track limits through the corner leading into the braking zone onto the back straight. Yes, that was the easiest way to pronounce that or say that. But unfortunately for Jesse Van Drijl, we'll have to wait and see where that drive-through puts him in the contention order, as Prexley is definitely running away with this one. Equally dominant as Priatko was in the first round. Prexley, one of the drivers' forehand favorites to win the championship, didn't have the best outing at Paul Ricard. That could have been to the bub of the Nissan back then. But it definitely seems like that he's running with this one. He could easily take tires in this race and probably still come out ahead of Schinkelens if he opts not to. Further down the field, big action pack here, all the way from Van der Linden, and it looks like a gap have now formed behind Woods, in between Woods and Van Dryle. Oh, Wins, sorry, it's Wins, not Woods, of course. Wins doing everything he can. He's got very close to the Lamborghini of Frank Hopp in the last lap. Van Dryle comes into service pit stop. A little bit of a tricky pit entry, as it is quite easy to overshoot the actual pit lane, and you'll have to bail out and take another racing lap. Wins on the outside of Frank Hopp. Does he go for the move? It does look like that he's at least threatening with a move there, but nothing came out of that. Frank Hopp keeps position through turn 1. Frank Hopp, one of the drivers who might be a little bit underestimated from time to time. He did such a good job last season, where he was an AM driver, finishing quite high up for the AM Championship. I think he actually won the AM Championship last time out. Doing a good job in the Lambo, continuing to run with the Lambo this season. Van Dryle comes out of the pits, very close to being last. Denise Pope might get very close to him, as it looks like on the track map, as the number 3 car, that's Van Josbergen, have gone for a little bit of spin but rejoins quickly. As the 30th car of Brokenhoven have now spun as well. I wonder if there have been a little bit of a contact in turn 1. We'll just have to wait and see about that. Wins still packed in or tucked in so close to Frank Hopp. He will try the slipstream move here. Interesting, it doesn't look like that Wins are running a low wing on this race, as many McLaren drivers did last time out for the tier 1 drivers. He might have gone for the higher downforce setup of the McLaren, as that Lambo seems to have the legs on him at the minute. That could probably change during the race, depending on strategies, of course, whether or not that they are conserving their tires. I don't think Wins are bothered about conserving them anymore after the big spins earlier. That must have put some kind of wear on those rubbers. A replay coming up here of what happened to Hoven, the number 30 car at least. So far so good. Oh, he just gets a wheel onto the AstroTurf. There's a little bit of a dip after the curb, not too big, but that seems to have spun him around. Unfortunate for him. Very unfortunate for Brockhoven. Fun names to pronounce. Wins still behind. Ooh, action further up the field. That's Partis and Barroso. Looks like Partis had got the move done through the final corner. Opportunity for the dive bomb then to turn 1. Partis does miss the apex. This will give Barroso a chance to stay with him, but Barroso seems to have made a slight mistake there. Van Dryle comes into the pit to serve his pit stop. Quite early in the race, 1 hour to go still. Partis made the move up into P11 from Partis. Remember, he's the driver who saved the drive-through early in the race for being out of position during the start. Unfortunate that drive-through came into him, as he probably could have challenged Prixley in the lead. Wins still so close behind Frank Hopp. He must be frustrated at this point that he can't find a way through that Lamborghini that's looking so big in the eyes of Founder Wins at the minute. Though I must say, Frank is doing a good job of not being too bothered about having a faster car behind him, or at least a car that seemed to be faster early in the race. Ooh, close there. Founder Wins goes wide, avoiding Frank Hopp by a cube of a distance. Still in the action, of course. He will try to catch back up to Frank Hopp. Further down the field, Denise Pope have made some inroads on some of the other back markers there. People in the pits as well, up to 16th position with the early pit stop, though she'll probably be trying to get her car to the end of the race now on this set of tires and the fuel she have in the car. Interesting to see if she can do that. The Porsche have not been famous for being conservative on the tires. This one nor the elder generations of the Porsche. But we'll have to see how she manages this, and if she can make a little bit of comeback. She are driving in clean air. That could help her quite a bit, as there'll not be much battling for her. She already put Van Dryle, Van Dosberg and Huben behind her, who have saved their pit stops as well. 168 car causing a little bit of an issue in... That was Craig Hill. Craig Hill wasn't in a bit of a spin there in turn 1, it looked like. As he's immediately dropped down to the battle between Van der Linden. If he slows up Van der Linden too, just a little bit, that would mean that Frank Hobb and Wouter Wins could get into the action as well. Unfortunate from Hill, though he still have a good chance of getting a top result this time around. P2 in the AM class from the McLaren driver. Though Ian van der Linden will definitely be looking at that car thinking, if I can get through him, that would be very good for my championship. A P2 would not be a bad result from the Ferrari driver. It is getting really close between these three. Frank Hobb right behind Van der Linden, who's getting closer and closer to Craig Hill. It looks like, though, not close enough to make the move this time around. Craig being the only one taking full advantage of the width of the track there. Wouter Wins doing the same further down behind, as you can get almost the entirety of the car onto that curb before you get a track warning. These four drivers still at it. Coming into the corner. This is one of the corners that are quite interesting. A lot of different lines can be taken through this particular corner that could make for overtaking opportunities if they get close enough together. Though just keeping it narrow would defend it quite easily from drivers trying the different lines. On board now, Ian van Linden, we get a good look on his steering inputs there. Little bit of a slide there as Frank Hobb now gets very close. Chooses not to go for the move into the final corner of the track. A little bit of a check up there from Frank Hobb as he was very close to hitting the back of Van der Linden through that corner. That have given Van der Linden just that slight advantage he needs to keep Frank Hobb behind, as Wouter Wins also gets close to Frank Hobb there. Frank Hobb going on the outside of Van der Linden. Opens the door a little bit for Woods there in the background. It does look like Frank Hobb did get the exit that made it quite impossible for Woods to... or Rins, sorry. I keep calling him Woods for some reason. It's easier to pronounce. Or Rins closing the door on him that he couldn't get the good enough exit there to try the move into the wannabe Maggotts and Beckett section. Though he is tucked in very closely in that McLaren, trying to keep it as close as possible. Maybe he will attempt the move into the sharp turn leading onto the back straight, or maybe at the end of the back straight. Frank Hobb a little bit of slide that doesn't look like it cost him anything. In the middle of this battle pack between Van der Linden, Frank Hobb and Wouter Wins. Wins taking that corner just a little bit tighter there, but it looks like that Frank Hobb still got the better acceleration out there, as Olsen also got a drive through for track limits. Bit surprised to see them coming this early in the race, though this track are notoriously harsh with track limits, or not necessarily harsh, but it is easy to pick up the track limits, as there are a few corners that are so precise that if you miss the steering just by a little bit, you will go wide, and the track will normally put that as track limit. As Frank Hobb makes a little bit of a mistake there into the big braking zone, gives Wins a little bit of a chance there on the outside, though good defending from Frank Hobb, shutting the door completely shut there from Wins. Keeping it nice and tight through the hairpin leading into the wannabe Turkey turn 8 corner. Does Frank Hobb there to keep the position and keep Wins behind. Wins must be fuming in that McLaren as he can't find a way through the Lamborghini of Frank Hobb. He does seem to have the speed to do it, but the top end of the McLaren are notoriously not the best in the field. Big mistake there from Frank Hobb. This could be the move from Wins. Does leave the room to Frank Hobb to go back onto the track, side by side across the line they go. Very slim margins. So that was the start line. Obviously the other line was the finishing line. Later on the brakes does go Wins there. Frank Hobb on the outside, being put to place on the outside. That's a move done by Wins. Now he's done looking at the back end of that Lamborghini. Cohen Geens goes for a little bit of a spin there in turn 1. Apparently that have caused a few issues for drivers this evening. Now Wins will have to focus up, refocus, try to get back into his optimum pace and see if he can catch up to Ian van der Linden in the Ferrari, who have lost quite a bit of time to Craig Hill. Craig just soldiering on, trying to get that car up close to De Gore once again. Though still a big gap between those two drivers. Looking around the field for other battles, Priatko and Schenkelins are within a second as well for P2 overall at the minute. Porsche and Mercedes, they are going heavily at it at the minute. Very close together. They're also right behind them. Close contention between that must be someone who's no, that is Vida and Digore. It looks like behind them, very close to them as well. Schenkelins covering off the inside line there from Priatko. Priatko does get a terrible exit there, which have put Pascal Vida into contention for the for a podium spot. Through wannabe turn 8 we go. Digore also close to this. There must have been, if that is Digore, I don't think it is. That might be a back marker of some sorts. It's a 27 car. That's Jesse van Driel. That's Jesse van Driel, not Digore, of course it is. Anyways, from second to fourth, they are very close within a second. Across the start-finish line we go. Priatko still trying to find as much pressure as he makes a fool of himself through turn 1. Though he does get the exit that that will defend the position at least from Pascal Vida. Further down, Bouncer wins on the move once again, having closed the gap right up there with Iron van der Linden. Good drive from Bouncer wins so far in the comeback here after the incidents early on in the race. I wonder if he's carrying damage on the car. That will be interesting to see later on, as Prickly have already getting the gap far enough that he could take tires without Schenkelins doing so and maintaining the lead over him when we get to the pit stop round. Superb drive from Prickly so far. That's wins on the inside there. Hard place to get the move done. He does get the move done on Iron van der Linden, and Frank Hopp gets at it at van der Linden as well in the background as he gets a run into the big braking zone before the back straight. Wonderful move there from Wins. Iron does defend that one. Frank Hopp chooses to back out of it as he saw him going in there further up the field. Priatko is at it with Schenkelins. Priatko seems to have the move done. No, Schenkelins does the cutback, comes back. No, we turn right next time. Priatko on the inside line, bottom right of the screen. Still side by side, Priatko and Schenkelins for P2 in the race. Seems like, ooh, good move there from Priatko, just having enough room to cut in ahead of Schenkelins there. But a big mistake coming out the corner. Maybe that was a little bit too much defending. That's definitely a contact. Priatko losing out to Schenkelins there. Almost losing out to Pascal Vida as well. Boys, take it easy. Stop bumping so much. As on the top screen, Frank Hopp and van der Linden must have had a coming together. So much action at the minute. Schenkelins dives into the pits. A little bit hard to follow up with all the great action on the track. It comes like in waves, it seems like. Van der Linden, that's a shame for him. Same goes for Frank Hopp, but wins now securely safe in P3 in the AM category on track. Yeah, as I'm told in my ear, that's parties behind Van Linden. I know that, Chris. I was just mentioning the shame it was for Hopp getting involved in that one. Schenkelins in the pits, interesting to see where he will come out in this race. If he doesn't have damage on the car, then it would be extremely strange if he takes tires, though we have been in the pits for quite a while, so that might be a tire stop from Schenkelins. He might have overheated them as well and all that way too close battling. Van der Linden and Parties have also done a bit of a comeback drive here, as he was the driver getting the drive-through early in the race for being out of position in the race, or in the starting procedure. Now I just can't get the words together for some reason. Nevertheless, Parties on the comeback drive. He will be trying the move on Van der Linden as soon as he can, though they're both in the Ferrari, so not much difference there in the cars. Interesting to see what will happen between these two, whether or not that Van der Linden can get the most out of his car and defend from Parties, though it does look like the Parties can break much later into the corners. But Van der Linden, he might just be a little bit more confident on the brakes in the Ferrari than Van der Linden are at the minute. Looking behind from Van der Linden's car here onto Parties as he's tucked right in the slipstream. Does move out, showing himself. Whether or not that he's going for it, we'll have to wait and see. Another car have spun out in the next corner. That's 28 car. That's Pascal Vida. That's Pascal Vida, probably involved in close racing there with Priatko. Ooh, that's unfortunate for Vida. And Vida's still stationary as we are coming up to him right now. That's the dirt being kicked up from Vida. Van der Linden tries on the inside on Vida. Same goes for Parties. Not sure if Parties can hold on to that as they go side by side into the wannabe turn 8. Parties on the outside there. I don't think that he will come ahead of Vida out of that one. We'll see in just a minute. No, that is Parties' car that we see there. And Frank Hopp also got through Vida in that one, it looks like. If I'm not mistaken, or are they running similar liveries? That could be the case. No, Vida have gone to the pits, it seems like. He might have had a bit of a spin there and decided that his race might be over now. Unfortunate for Vida. Not the smartest replay, as we just saw Frank Hopp spinning out in the background just before heading on to the replay. This is what happened to Vida. No, it was not contact with Priatko. It seems like, oh, just clipping the inside of the curb, unstabling the Lambo, putting it into the wall, and then carefully rejoining. Not optimum from him. Which means that that the top 2 in the race, as we are speaking, are silver drivers, and then a bunch of AIM drivers, 4 AIM drivers after that. Though we have to take into consideration that mixed Shinkelins have taken the pit stop early on, getting out of the traffic there from Shinkelins. That might be a good choice from him. We'll have to wait and see until further on in the race. Party still in the back of Van der Linden. It does seem like the drivers are having some issues getting the overtakes done around here today. But this one is getting way too close. That's contact between Parties and Van der Linden. A lot of bumper car racing tonight. Parties does look like that he's waiting from Van der Linden there, being a good sportsman. But I think that was that Geens who snuck through there? While they were on the outside, that I think it was Geens who's on to a good sort of recovery drive in this race, making the top 5 in the AM class consists now of 4 McLarens. Bit interesting to see that the McLarens are doing so well this evening. Very unfortunate from Van der Linden and Parties. Not the biggest loss of position there, though. A bit of a time loss it was. A replay here of Geens, who just sneaks up on the 2 drivers parked on the outside of the upcoming corner. Just see the contact there up ahead. Just that minor touch there from Parties, and Geens just sneaks through, saying thank you very much. I'll have those 2 positions. Parties on it still. A bit of a race where gaps are starting to form up and down the field at the minute. Nothing interesting have happened in the weather, nor have anything interesting happened with the track conditions. Brixley still leading, doing a good show there for the Wild Things Racing team in the mighty GTR Nissan. Imagine if the Bob had come out before the season, he might have been in Tier 1 with this beaut of a machine. Good to see the Nissan, the Godzilla, back on the track, doing a good job, good showing there from the Japanese car. Not many of the Japanese manufacturers have been selected this time around. This Nissan, and I think 2 Hondas in total, are all of the Japanese cars selected for this season of SSRI GT3 Racing across both tiers. Brookland on the outside of Bosch here. Denise Pope also getting very close to this free wide. Denise Pope takes the most out of that situation, making a double overtake there. Great drive from Denise Pope. She's now 2nd of the drivers who have pitted, showing off good pace in that Porsche. She might have just done the tactical option of taking the pit stop early, getting out of traffic to get us a good result as possible. The McLaren of Brookland there getting a little bit frisky under braking. The Audi of Bosch tucking in behind. That could be an attempt for a move later on, but just admire this livery for a second. Good to see the pink machines on track. We obviously have 2 of them in the first tier as well. doing quite a good job there in Tier 1, the Wild Things Racing team. Ooh, big move there behind them. Though Bosch goes too far, didn't get on the brakes in time for that one. Gives Brooklyn a little bit of a breathing room now. But good looking car nevertheless from the Wild Things Racing team. I do believe that Denise Pope are designing these cars herself. And that pink just really stands out and catches the eye on a broadcast like this one. Bosch there on a bit of Sandro Bosch and a bit of a touch there with the curb. Not optimum, although the Audi are notorious for being hard to control. At least when the setups are not done correctly. Sandro Bosch will probably start considering whether or not that Sandro will be coming in for tires. Priatko here. Digore getting somewhat close in the background. The red McLaren that we saw behind was Digore. Ahead of him, that will be Jesse van der Rijl, I believe, in the McLaren, who just unlapped himself from Priatko. That must mean Priatko have been a little bit too wide in the corner there. Priatko trying to show himself that he loses quite a bit of time, trying something silly on van der Rijl. Not an easy race this time for Priatko. Been involved in quite a bit of argy-bargy so far in this race. Last time out, of course, he dominated Paul Ricard, winning that race with a huge margin. Not seeing any action after the first lap in that race. Even though Priatko, ooh, something have happened down here. Van der Linden once again, and that's a McLaren. That must be Cohen Geens ahead of him. They must have had some sort of coming together. Or at least there must have been a mistake there from Geens, giving Van der Linden an opportunity to get back into this one. Very close between these two. Van der Linden have been shown quite a bit tonight, as he have been involved in a lot of action so far. A lot of good battles involving the Dutch driver of Iron van der Linden. Through the penultimate corner onto the final corner we go. Only about 3 minutes until we reach the halfway point in the race, and the pit stops will surely start to come in there. We have seen the undercut working out quite well in the second tier so far this season and last season as well. Here we have a look of what happened. Geens in the McLaren had just completely missing that braking point, allowing for Van der Linden to get close to him. Stays on the inside line there, compromising his own exit there and driving, and that's why Van der Linden got so close. Interesting to see if Van der Linden can stay with Geens as Parties now in the rear end of these two cars. That could be interesting to see if Parties can get through these guys. If he does that and takes that would be 6th position. That would be, I think, 7th after the pit stops, maybe. Just, yeah, I think so. He will come out in 7th after that. Good recovery from him so far in this race. Big unfortunate moment when he was out of position in the start. He could probably have been up there fighting with Prixley in this one. Not that I think that Prixley minds too much. A race win is a race win, though boring races are not why we go racing. Always want to get involved with battling. There are no doubts that Prixley will, if he doesn't make a fool of himself in the last half of the race, then he will take this one for sure. Few guys in the pits now. Brooklyn and Bosch have come into the pits. They will come out quite far down the order, but they could potentially be in. Oh well, they will come on. We'll at least get to see if they are involved in action movement from Brooklyn now in the pits. He will come out behind. Yeah, well, at least behind Van der Rijl. And that's a lead lap car, the one. Hard to say, really. Stop go 30 for Brooklyn for speeding in the pit lane. Not that good from him. That was Cohen Geens jumping into the pits as well. Wounter wins in the pits also. 38 minutes to go, half a minute from the halfway point. This is a good time to take your pit stop if you want to get it out of the way. Van der Linden and Parties still on the track, added together, and Frank Hopp there in the background sneaking into the battle as well. These three could be on for a massive result if they can at least do the no tire strategy. Interesting to see if they will go deep into this race. We'll see the drivers who boxes after, I would say, when this lap is done, are likely on the no tire strat. Barloso into the pit lane also. Almost an attempted move further up. Digore getting very close to Priatko as well. Though he didn't get the best exit onto the back straight there, did Digore. Strategy could be interesting between these guys. It would be funny to see if Pixley is just stretching out and then taking the tires with as low fuel as possible to try and go for a super fastest lap in the race. That could be his move. But Digore nevertheless having caught back up to Priatko. These two seems to have been harmonica driving with the gap. It gets somewhat large and then it just comes down to nothing all of a sudden. Prixley in the pits as we speak. He's definitely taking tires if he takes the pit stop now. Prixley goes into the pits. He's probably not emerging in the lead of the race if all of these drivers come in or if these drivers stay out on track. But virtually I think he does maintain the P1 in the race. We see Digore into the pits at least, going for the pit entry. Priatko in as well. This could mean that Prixley will come out in the lead of the race, taking a Grand Slam with a pole position and having led every single lap. Craig Hill in the pits as well. Van der Linden seems to have stayed out. Van der Linden will take the lead at least for a brief moment, or he have stayed out. He have taken the lead for a brief moment, or at least until he takes the pit stop. No, he haven't. He's not even on the start-finishing straight. He's only come onto the start-finish straight now. Partis goes into the pit. Prixley on the move on pit exit. This could be very close between them, though Van der Linden seems to overtake now. Prixley still on the speed limiter, of course. No Grand Slam for Prixley this time out, but nevertheless, definitely the lead driver of those who have taken their pit stops. Would be interesting to see where Schenkelins are on track compared to Prixley at the minute. Schenkelins are only coming into to turn 1 now, as Prixley is already done with the wannabe Maggots and Baggots. Prixley definitely in a good position now. Just needs to keep it nice and smooth to take this win. Those Schenkelins, I think, is actually virtually P2 in the race at the minute. He has definitely overtaken Priatko, Digore, and all these guys by staying out, or well, taking the pit stop early and getting out in clean air. Good strategy move there from Schenkelins. Though his tires will be much older than the other guys later on this race. Interesting to see if I don't think he took tires with the gaps between him and Priatko. But interesting to see if his tires will fall off drastically by the end of the race. That seems to be the case for some drivers in the T1 race last week out. Partis and Priatko still at it together. If I was Partis, I would probably have gone another... No, Partis have gone up to Priatko, I should say. I don't think Partis took tires in that pit stop round, as he have come up out right behind Priatko. That's somewhat interesting. And Denise Pope, look at that. P7 in the race. 2 drivers ahead of her who haven't stopped yet. Her early stop could be could pay out very big time for her if she can keep control of those tires throughout the race. Though she'll be put under pressure very soon from Craig Hill and Digore behind her. Party still trying to chase down Priatko, though Priatko might be on new fresh tires, or as they say in America, slicker tires, or slicked, whatever they say. Sticker tires are what they say in America. Van der Linden dives into the pits. Denise Pope with Craig Hill on the outside of her. Craig Hill seems to get the move done. Though nevertheless, even if Denise ends up in 10th position by the end of the race, still was a good strategy call for her, staying out of the issues. Digore in the back end of Denise Pope. Or well, behind Denise Pope at least. Doing good so far, keeping up with Craig Hill through the wannabe turn 8, so that time it looked like Denise got a terrible exit there. Digore could have an opportunity into turn 1. Tucked into the slipstream. Will he move out and show himself? Now he's starting to get closer in the slipstream. He does move out, sends it up the inside. But is it too late on the brakes from Digore? No, looks like he made that stick. Good drive from Digore. Pope now into 9th position in the race. Nevertheless, still a good drive from here. Although they could No, I think actually she's in 8th as Van der Linden are in the pits. And are just starting to move out now. Only Frank Huff haven't served his pit stop yet. He might be going for the no tire change strategy. Interesting to see as Prixley are right behind Frank Huff. This could be the only overtake that Prixley have to do the entirety of the race. Very close. Ooh, Huff going slightly wide there. Prixley on the inside. This will become outside for the final bit of this section. Though Frank Huff just slots in behind Prixley, not bothering fighting Richard in this situation. Good fair driving from Frank Huff there. Maybe also just if he's trying to stretch these tires all the way to the end, then that might have been the better option than starting to fight people that are not in your race. Or well, you're not fighting in the race. They are technically still in the race. Brockhoven also haven't taken a stop yet. Denise doesn't seem to be able to stick with the two McLarens that are currently P1 and 2 in the AM category though. I must say that this actually put Denise into 3rd place in the AM category. That early stop, smart move, high IQ move. I was honestly considering the same last week. But it didn't pan out for me. I was convinced that it wasn't the smartest move, but yeah, we'll see how Denise will go on to drive the rest of her race. If the tires will hold up, it will be hard for her to keep wins behind if he took tires in his pit stop. But that's something time will tell, or someone with a better apps open than me. Frank Huff comes into the pits. He might actually take tires then if he comes in now. Not a lot of people seem to have opted for the no tire change. Parker Olsen made the move there on Brockhoven. We know that Wins took tires, Crawford. I thought that I mentioned that earlier. Yes, people are writing in the YouTube chat. It's good to see that there's at least some interest in watching virtual races. Might be because there are no actual racing going on in the real world here on this Tuesday evening that's worth watching. Might be some American short track racing and late models. Though stay tuned for this one. This is much better. By the way, don't go watch that. Wins in 8th position, have taken almost a second out of Denise Pope the last lap around. He will be closing the gap to her. But whether or not that he will actually get it done, we'll have to wait and see. 15 to 14 laps race in this event, which does just take into effect and say people are closing a second per lap. Then it's only Wins that are within a possible opportunity of overtaking Denise Pope. As we go right back up to 5th position and the AM leader at the minute, Craig Hill. Ooh, back marker there getting a little bit in the way, though he did move out nicely there, not impeding at all. Doing a good job of just letting the other guys race. That was Huben, who's also in a little bit of an iffy situation. If he gets a drive-through, then Brooklyn will be right on his in his battle range, as he might actually gain a position on Brockhoven as he is into the pits at the minute. Craig Hill. Yeah, we have seen the driver starting to get a little bit more aggressive with that penultimate corner, taking much more curb on the inside. You can actually take some of the orange sausage as well without it unsettling the cars too much in that corner. It's such a tricky corner to get right because of the speed you're coming into. That corner was not designed for GT cars. But why would it be? Yes, they also race Formula 1 and other Formula-styled cars around this track in real life. And other high downforce machinery like the Daytona prototypes and LMP2s back in the days. IndyCar, of course, also goes racing here over the course of their season. Some onboard action down in the bottom corner now, where we can see the steering inputs of Craig Hill. No, that's not Craig Hill, is it? I think it might be DeGore. I think it's DeGore in the bottom corner. It's so confusing when you can't see too much of the screen. I'm not having the greatest of monitors personally, so stuff like that is not easy to read. The small text down the bottom there, but you can really see how he's moving that car. It looks very stable. DeGore in the McLaren. Nice and smooth on the steering inputs. Gets on the power then. Not the greatest exit it looked like, but still decent enough to stay within of a reasonable distance to DeGore. Though as I say that, he might be dropping out of slipstream range. This is currently the closest battle on track as far as I can see on my screen. Frank Hopp is also close to Van der Linden. Those two just doesn't seem to be want to get separated in this race as they are so close all the time. Now let's keep a look on the steering wheel of the Galway through this corner. If he gets a little bit of a slide on the outside, if he nicely plans the throttle, very nicely done there on the throttle from the Galway. Again, camera from the McLaren of Breakhill. It's also interesting to see how over the years that the rear wings of these cars have started using this reverse mount instead of having the traditional under mount on the cars. And the distance between the brackets that holds up the spoiler have been moved further apart. Back in the good old days, they were very close together and sort of formed a T. I think it still does that on the of the Nissan of Prixley, if I'm not mistaken, too much with the close supports. I think that we might be finding out soon. Just in curiosity, I know that our cameraman is doing that. Yes, there it is, close with the supports. You can also see the sideboards of the wing on the Nissan much larger, not as big that was on the older generation Nissan. That's just a humongous wing. From this camera we'd be able to see nothing but wing in that car. But look at that beauty, that is a classic racing wing. T-shaped wing there. Also good to see that people are putting sponsored decals on their wings with the wild things there. Oh, that's Frank Hopp. Frank Hopp have had a little bit of a spin there through the penultimate corner. Big damage it looks like on Frank Hopp's car as he dives into the pits to get that fixed. Unfortunate for him as he just stops in the pit lane. He will be returned to garage, I think. Unfortunate for Frank Hopp as he was having some good racing this evening. Pascal Vida and Cohen Geens close together on the track. Interesting to see if this could turn out for battling, as wins are now within 1.5 of Denise Pope further up as well, but this is very close between Pascal Vida and Cohen Geens. Vida dives up the inside there of Geens. Geens doesn't fight it too much, leaves the apex wide open for Vida just to come through. That might have been the smart move from Geens as Vida have seemed really fast this evening of racing here around COTA. And they are only 5 seconds down from the back end of this battle to Ian van der Linden, who could close it up and get involved with it as well. Though saying that, it looks like that he got very close there in the heavy braking zone at the end of the back straight. Though Vida is now just stretching the legs of the Lambo in the Sim Racing Holland machinery, getting away from Geens ever so slightly, but still getting away. Wins now within battle range of Denise Pope for 7th position and the final spot of the AM podium. Just one position up. Here we go. Denise Pope will have to defend this for 24 minutes if she wants to get on the podium of the AM category. Wins very close here. Further up the field as Will Partis and Craig Hill duking it out, but that's not for class podiums, but overall P4. Look at that! Look at the difference of Wince's fresh tires and Denise Pope's very worn tires in the Porsche. He can take so much more speed through these corners, though. It doesn't matter that he can be faster here. It's not an easy place to overtake, even though we did see both Pope and Wince early on in the race having some good moves through those. The braking zone onto the back straight we go. Wince in the Audi Laron car there, and the of course classic, or not classic, but the new classic, I would say, pink of the Wild Things Racing Porsche ahead of him. Denise did seem to have a good exit there onto the back straight, disallowing for Wince to get a move into the to the braking zone. But up here, Craig Hill and Partis really closely at it through the tricky section with the low speeds and the big turns as we go double screen. Now we can follow. Top left is for P4 overall, bottom right are P3 in the AM category and P7 overall. Both of them very close. It's hard to tell which is the most interesting at the minute. Denise Pope, you can see Wins getting a much better run there through wannabe turn 8 into the final corner on the top screen. Ooh, Wins getting close to Denise Pope, though Denise defends quite heroically there, keeping it ahead of Wins onto the final corner. I don't think Denise can keep this forever, but I definitely think that Denise will be doing everything she can to keep this until the end of the race. Craig Hill didn't have the greatest of exits there onto the back straight, as he wasn't close enough to parties for the move. It didn't look like that that Wins was close enough to Denise, either, saying that he does go up the inside there. Denise Pope just manages to keep on there as he was too narrow, too shallow through turn 1, couldn't get the exit. Top screen once again, they are a little bit further down the track. Both of them, it's literally nothing between these drivers. At the minute you can see Denise are struggling to hit the apexes there. Wins does go on the outside. Ooh, it's getting frisky. Though Denise keeps the position. Top screen, they're coming onto the back straight now. Look for the exits. Does look like that that Party's got the exit there. Bottom screen, they'll be coming into the braking zone onto the back straight now. We'll see if the Porsche can get the exit on Wins. Wins does seem to get a narrow line. That's normally a good choice, but it does not look like he got a good enough exit to challenge Pope. Craig Hill and Parties added into to the big braking zone, though nothing changed there. Parties showing himself a little bit through the tricky section. Round to Wins also shows himself a little bit to Denise Pope. Yellow flag on the start-finish line. Not that we can have time to have a look on that at the minute, because this battle actioning is so crazy that I almost can't speak. Ooh, I'm just struggling. My eyes are going all over the two screens, figuring out what I want to watch the most and what I want to commentate on, but I'm trying to do my best at doing both of them. Parties does look to be close to Hill into the final corner. Very close indeed. You have to bail out of that one. But both of them good on the throttle. This could be a move from Craig Hill into turn... Oh, sorry, yes, from Craig Hill into turn 1 on Parties. As we'll see if Denise Pope can keep Wins on a terrible line through that final corner. Doesn't look like that she managed to do that, though. She did get a better exit than Wins on the fresher tires. First corner, Craig Hill on the inside of Parties. Though Parties fights it off and maintains position. Way too close, and now we go round to Wins for the move into turn 1. Does cover that, cover the switchback off very well there. Craig Hill and Parties have made a little bit of a mistake there, as Craig Hill on the outside of him. Denise unfortunately having to give up the position. That's Craig Hill now making the move and getting it to stick on Parties as a back marker gets involved in the back of that. Or is that Digore? I think that's actually Digore who have catched up to the battle. 3-man battle for P4 in the race at the minute. 2 AMP drivers and a pro. Big unfortunate for Wild thinks that Denise dropped that position. But look at this. Digore goes to the inside of Parties. Drag race down the back straight. This just gives Craig Hill a little bit of a breathing room from these two drivers, and he will try to run away with it, or at least get a gap on the two drivers behind who are battling it out. Though defensive move there from Digore, taking the defensive line, forcing Parties wide into the big braking zone, still on the outside. Digore did leave the room very nicely there from Digore, though Parties couldn't keep it on the outside through that corner. Into the tricky snailing section we go. Ooh, big mistake from Digore. That could mean that Parties have a chance to catch right back up to him, as Digore are chasing down Craig Hill for that 4th, and that would actually be first place in the AM category. I didn't even pick up on that until now. That's top spot on the AM podium. They will be duking it out for, if Digore can catch up to Craig Hill. Craig have done a superb job this race so far. Really putting the car into the right positions. Not much in it from him, as Digore was involved in a few things earlier in the race. Parties hanging on to the back of Digore. Getting the better exit. Parties might be having a little bit of a think of, or maybe just staying behind Digore at the minute to try and figure out if there are any corners that that Digore seems to be struggling at, and where he can make the move stick and get it done easily. On board with Parties, Alpha Motorsport, Ferrari. Through the corners, you can take that the triangle on the inside, but not too much. Then you will go spinning out. No one have taken the inside cone there yet in this race, which is a bit surprising. Hit the braking markers. It looked like though they both missed the apex. Parties misses it slightly more than Digore, and Digore does get a little bit of a breathing room down the back straight. I'm just trying to have a look if there are other battles at the minute on the track. Frank Hobb could be catching up to Brooklyn within the next couple of laps. But besides that, it looks like that the Parties Digore battle are the closest out there. Brooklyn could also potentially catch up to Schuben there for position in the AM category. That could be huge for the championship. Just that 1 point difference that gives you a big deal further down the grid. When you're duking out for the lower positions, then a singular point are a good harvest if you can get that on your opponents. Frank Hobb already on the back of Peter Brookland, as Brookland are also on the back of Huben, or getting close to getting into the back of Huben. As I just got tricked there into thinking that we were watching a replay, but as a fact we were just racing live, or watching live. Just looking at what Prixley's doing here. Prixley have already put a lap down on P14 in the race. The 74 machinery of Olsen. I thought that was a different driver, but I could just be mistaken with the numbers. All of these three cars within a whisker of each other through the final corner, or penultimate corner. No, that was the final corner. Frank Hobb in the back end of this battle up ahead him. They are both aim drivers, and that's have a huge impact on that championship. Although Huben goes defensive, Frank Hobb on the inside there. Ooh, big spin from Brooklyn. Brooklyn goes in for the spin, or gets the spin out of turn 1. Unfortunate as Huben gets a good gap there to Brooklyn. Though we never know if the same unfortunate situations could happen to Huben later in the race. Although we are not hoping that for Huben. Frank Hobb on the inside. Line there, Huben doesn't really fight it too much, as Frank Hobb goes through up into 16th position in the race. Big gap from Frank Hobb up to Bosch from this point on. That would be about 28 seconds that he'll catch up to try that. I don't think that will be likely with 14 minutes to go in the race. It seems that this race have just flown by. At this point we would normally be calling off the regular 60-minute races, and the action would stop, but tonight it's all action, baby, for another 15 minutes of COTA. Team GG, Frank Hobb is... I don't think he'll be too pleased with this race, but due to the amount of sign-outs for this event this evening, he's actually putting in a pretty good result in the silver class. I'm just counting it now. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 6th position, even though that he's 16th in the race. A lot of silver drivers have signed out tonight. I think I noticed a total of 6. Here we get the replay of Brooklyn. What happened to him? He goes. That's the transition there from brakes to throttle being done a little bit too aggressive with too much steering input. It looks like. Though he have already caught up to Huben, as Huben must have made some sort of a mistake, as they are within in touching distance almost of each other. Onto the first corner we go once again. These two, Brooklyn tucking into the slipstream of Huben. Huben will probably take the same line as he did last time. Bosch with the drive-through, that could put Frank Hobb into contention for another position. Brooklyn does take the same line almost as he did last time, though this time he did manage to keep it under control. But that drive-through for Bosch will definitely put him behind Frank Hobb on this track. Long pit lane, I do believe it is 24 seconds between them. It might not be enough to... I think it is enough. Someone with ACC drive open could probably tell me that. Hard to say, but Nevertheless, the battling is going on between Hubin and Brooklyn for P17, the BMW and the McLaren. Good to see these cars in action. Also good liveries on both of the cars. The Outlaren, of course, the yellow iteration of that that livery on Peter Brooklyn, while Hubin are running a much more sleek-looking livery. Somewhat reminiscent of the Valentino Rossi liveries of his motorcycling days and GT Racing. Down the back straight we go. Did Brooklyn get a good enough exit to try it into the big braking zone? It would be a little bit of a risky move if he does so. He doesn't do it. Exactly. Ooh, getting a little bit close there at the end. Not fully on the brakes. Might have had to let off of the brakes, both of them, because they got it too early, getting very close to the Ferrari behind them. I don't think of a position. There's a yellow flag just up ahead. There was a Frank Hopp. Was that Frank Hopp who was spun out there? Very unfortunate race from Frank so far this evening. A lot of big mistakes, but we have seen him make a fool of himself in that corner, make a mistake in that corner, as well as the as I think that it's the 74 car. Not a lucky number for him this evening, as he also spun out in the wannabe Magnussen Beckett. The race is really starting to kick off now with driving errors. Bosch are currently moving in the pit lane. I don't think that he will emerge ahead of these guys, or emerge onto the track ahead of these guys as they overtake him right now. This could be potential for Bosch to come out in the battle and catch up to them. No, it's a little bit too far, but if these guys battle too hard, Hubin goes wide. Hubin went wide there, getting the outlaren of Peter Brooklyn up ahead, and I think that's a leading lap car, maybe. Hard to tell. Or is it Brohoven in the Ferrari or Lamborghini behind? I'm just trying to look. No, it's Pascal Vida. I was actually told that in the back of my head by Chris Hill. And this time he wasn't just whispering it, he was yelling it multiple times, but I just didn't bother to listen, honestly, as usual. Interesting to see if Brooklyn will play this smart and lose as little time as possible, letting Vida through, as if he loses too much, that puts Hubin right back in it. Interesting to see if Bosch can catch up to Hubin when they pass the first split. There were only 4 seconds between them, and it have seemed like Bosch have more pace than Hubin in this race so far. They were not the smartest led by there, but fortunate for Brooklyn, it looked like that Hubin broke a little bit too early there and had to lift off the braking pressure into the corner to not stop way too early for that one. Brooklyn still on a good drive. Olsen into the pits, probably out due to the big impact he had when he spun out in the wannabe Magnussen Beckett section on the track. He will definitely come back onto the track behind all of these guys. He might be out near, I think that would be Van Dosberg or Brockhoven, or at least in between those two, I would presume. I tell you what, that Brooklyn haven't lost too much to Vida through that third sector of the track after letting him through. Doing a good job staying with him. Ooh, as he goes wide, this could allow Hubin back in it if he keeps it together, though not really. Having a look up and down the order to see if there are battles coming up. Except for this one, there's the Gorey Hill battle still going on further up the field. Though more than a second between those two guys. Also just trying to think if there are some cars that we haven't seen that much of in the race. I think that Dosberg might deserve a little bit of screen time, as he haven't been too much involved in battling, and he could be a good show for the cameras maybe, and see if maybe just get a look on his car actually, as we haven't seen that too much this evening of racing. If we could see the number 3 car of Van Dosberg, as I know that Chris loves me to say Van Dosberg, because that is definitely a mispronunciation. Here he is. I think it's the first race of Van Dosberg, to be honest, though. he is managing to keep on going and race it to the end. You never know what happens, as he's not too far back off of still a good 5 to 10 seconds between Olsen and van Dosbergen. Though good to see new drivers coming into the community as well. Good color combinations on the McLaren, the pitskill.io. As we have mentioned that the gap is coming down in the AM lead. Yes, we know that they have been added all race. Craig Hill and DeGauray have seemed to be around that area for quite a bit of time. Hubert and Brooklyn are also close, but that's who makes the mistakes when and where. But it is good to see Dosbergen trying to finish out this race. Good show as well. Just finishing races are good practice if you want to get better. Getting the race distances in under your skin, as it's Schenkelins and Priatko who are also getting somewhat close for P2. 1.3 seconds between those two guys. DeGauray 1.1 to Craig Hill. Closing that gap as well. As Frank Hobb is actually side by side with Bosch somewhere on the track, at least through the last timing. Here they are side by side into the turn 1. Leader Richard Prixley to lose anything in this race. As I think we are back, Frank Hobb have made the move stick. Those 6 seconds behind Hubert, that's about 2 seconds needs to pick up per lap. If he wants this to happen, 6:41 causing a yellow flag, that's Barloso. He is still yellow, though don't think he's under threat from losing positions on that. 1.1 between the two drivers of Schenkelins and Priatko for P2 in the silver class. At the minute, as we actually find them here on the stream, Schenkelins and Priatko still, they've been this close all race, even closer from time to time. Or well, not really, that was Priatko and Partis, I think, earlier in the race, and DeGauray as well. Schenkelins took the early pit stop, so his tires might have worn quite a bit more than Priatko's. Interesting to see if Priatko can close up to Schenkelins, though. Schenkelins had all that clear air running and didn't have to struggle with fighting other drivers. It have seemed like the gap is coming down ever so slightly at the minute, but he haven't really taken big chunks out of the gap between Schenkelins and Priatko. Doing a little bit of a style study here, looking how they're taking these corners, trying to figure out if who's got the most tire wear. Priatko going wide there, that loses quite a bit of time doing that. Before the Turkey turn 8 wanna be underneath the sniper tower or the lookout tower. Although I do feel like Americans would use it as a sniper tower, to be honest. Schenkelins keeping good control of that Porsche. A back look here from the roof of Schenkelins onto Priatko. But before the race finishes, just some quick mentions of what else is going on in the community at the minute. A GT2 championship is starting up in not so long. We would like to see some more sign-ups for that. If you have the DLC and just want to go out and have fun with going racing at some of the most iconic tracks out there, then do give it a go. Other things happening, the 2.4 series are starting on this Friday. We're not entirely sure whether or not that it will be broadcast or not. I think we will try and get something sorted out and get at least the first race on stream for you guys out there to watch. A few things will have to align with planning and other things for that to happen, but of course we'll give you a heads up if it will be streamed as soon as we have something figured out for that one. 2 minutes 40 to go. I'm trying to figure out where Prixley is. Prixley is there on the track. That means that he will have his current lap and 2 more to go, maybe just 1 more, depending on how quick he is to get to the line. I was hoping he was a bit closer to that. Frank Hobb have actually caught up to Hubert further down the order. And they will be duking it out soon for 15th in the race. Also good job from Blitzme staying on the server, trying to get those points out of that position. Bosch into the pits. He must have done some, either had some damage or fuel miscalculations. Just crossed the line, which means that I do think that he's on his final lap. That we are under white flag now. These guys will have this one and 1 more to go. or well, American white flag at least, as often Europeans, when we see a white flag, we just think of a slower car somewhere on the track. Priatko will have to close the gap. He is getting closer and closer, only 0.7 last time over a split time. Jenkins going a little bit wide, that they'll be heading onto their final lap as we speak, onto the start-finish straight. Priatko is right up the rear wing of Jenkins. This could end up in tears, as we have seen earlier when these have, or at least when Priatko have been involved in close racing. Priatko really closing the gap there. Late on the brakes, both of the cars, not hitting exactly the apex, but keeping it together. Final lap for these two. It's now or never for Priatko if he wants to finish second. Though if he finishes third, it will still be 2 podiums in a row for him. In the bottom right-hand screen, we see the dark Nissan of Richard Prixley, as we'll be following him for the final lap of his race down there, as the battling are still going on for P2 in the race. Running a wide, I wonder if they both have, it doesn't look like Priatko had any more track limits to spare, as he lifted off quite a bit after going wide there. That could have sealed the deal for Jenkins and Priatko. Priatko getting really close there. Very hard on the brakes. Not able to get a stop, just that 1 meter too late to get the good enough drive down the back straight. Though it still only takes a small mistake from Mick Jenkins before Priatko could get into it, as the 4-1 causing yellow flag. Again, that's Bosch. He just took a pit stop and came out probably cold tires on his car. Prixley rounding out the final corner. A car is slowing down to probably not want to do one more lap of racing to let him through. That was Van Drijl doing that. Prixley winning the race in dominant fashion, as Van Drijl also finishes in 12th, and everyone from 12th and down have been lapped in this race. Now main screen, following these two cars, that they will be the next drivers to finish the race, at least on the lead lap. Looks like that Jenkins did manage to keep the gap big enough to keep Priatko behind. Priatko going wide there. He must have had a cut warning to go still. Priatko on the outside into the final corner, really trying to give it everything for a final lap overtake, final corner overtake, but there it finishes. Only 8/10 between them. Mick Jenkins in second, Priatko in third. Ooh, don't crash your car after the race finish. Craig Hill winning the AM category. He have been involved in a ton of battling this evening. Great drive from Craig Hill, and a Digore as well, second in class. Looks like Partis does the comeback drive into P6. Mountain Winds will likely finish 7th in the race and 3rd in the AM category. But still, what a drive from Denise with that early pit stop, only 10 seconds behind Mountain Winds, as they will come across the line at least. Winds have just done. Denise Pope, next driver to cross it. Good show there. Great strategic overview from the Wild Things Racing team of calling it. Having that early pit stop, that must have been discussed between her and Prixley before the race, what to do in which situations. Pascal Vida coming in 4th in the pro class, one position further down than Denise Pope, who finishes 4th in the AM. Though Vida have been involved in a lot of things in this race. Gens van der Linden, Barloso, Brooklyn Hobb, Huben, Bosch, Brockhoven, Van Dosberg, and then Blitzman finishing the race in the pits. What a race we have had this evening. Now just waiting for maybe a few drivers to come into the interview room. Dominant performance from Richard Prixley, even more dominant than Priatko last week in Paul Ricard. I honestly was a bit surprised to see Prixley in the second tier before this season, but then again with the Bob changes now, if he had done his preseason testing with the Nissan, he might have been in the top tier, fighting it out with myself and a few other guys up there. But nevertheless, good performance from Richard Prixley, really showing that the older cars are back in the game, baby. And they can be raced. I know that the Lexus have also gotten a pretty decent BOP that could put into maybe not be as good as the newer cars as per se, but at least bring it closer to them as we get some highlights in the background. Still waiting to see if anyone comes into the interview room. We'll just give them a few minutes before we round it off. this is what happened in the first corner. A lot of people being pushed a little bit off the track there, as often happens here on COTA through that corner. Look at all this side-by-side action coming on. As Bouncer Vince have joined us in the commentary booth. What a race you had this evening. A few instances we also didn't notice, but good battling nevertheless, and fighting it up and overtaking Denise Pope as well later on in the race for, I believe, P3 in the AM category.
Yeah, it was the start was a bit eventful. I got punted because I was careful. Well, Priatko, I think, went a bit wide and I started sliding, and I think Pascal Weira went on the inside and my car went around. But after that, yeah, the recovery drive was fun. I had some battles with Frank Hopp and Arjen van der Linde. Cost me some time because I was a lot quicker, or it felt that way, but it was fun fighting them. And then Denise at the end, she was a bit slower as well, but overtaking was so hard, but she kept it fair. So yeah, it was fun in the end. So nice recovery.
I can give you a little insight on a Pope's strategy, as you probably haven't noticed in the race. She actually boxed on lap 2 to get her pit stop out of the way and didn't take tires. Do you reckon that would have been the optimum call in a total race distance situation with no incident?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe I could have done the same instead of staying after Frank and Arjen, pitting a bit sooner, but I wasn't sure if I got a lot more fuel, if my pace would be as well. And also, the McLaren is a fast car, but even after half the race, the rear tires really started to degrade. So I'm not sure if that would have worked for me. I think the Porsche has the motor in the back, so maybe that's a bit better, but who knows? Next time, maybe.
Yeah, next time will be a Brands Hatch, a 1 hour race. I have obviously been on the practice server for that quite a bit, and it does seem that rain can appear there, so we might see a wet race or mixed weather on a Brands Hatch. Do you reckon that would be good for you if we had some weather interference in that race?
Well, last couple of seasons I always enjoyed the mixed races in the Lexus. So I enjoy the rain in general, so that might be fun to do, something completely different. So a bit of sun, a bit of rain towards the end or something like that. Yeah, keep it coming.
Oh yes, most definitely. Do you regret not driving the Lexus this season, if we have seen the BOPs that have become a strong car now?
Yeah, I saw it recently, but the thing is, I chose the McLaren, and in meanwhile I'm now driving with a McLaren steering wheel, so it would be, well, before I was driving the Lexus in a Bentley wheel, so that would make no difference, I guess. But yeah, a bit fed up because I haven't tried the Lexus yet, but I saw it got buffed a bit, so I'm quite curious.
Yeah, me too. That's also one of my favorite cars. I think we are joined by Mick Schinkelins as well in the small shed, who also had a wonderful drive of Rick Collins. I feel like P2, we did see a lot of battling there from you, Mick, during the race, and a good call with the early stop, getting out of the traffic.
Oh yeah, I was like, it's death or pitting, so at some point you gotta pit.
Yeah, and when the other option is death, then it was definitely the right call for you.
Yeah, it's kind of because I was with my teammate who were discussing earlier if it was worth doing tire changes, because I feel like a lot of people behind me did tire changes. But yeah, you have to do at least 1.5 seconds per lap after your stop, and it's really hard here.
Yeah, well, we did see, we have seen that the drivers who did take tires, they might in total race distance, total race time, not have been that much slower than the guys that didn't. But the thing is, if you take the tires, then you also have to run back through the field and trying to overtake those who didn't. Did that play into consideration for you as well?
Not really at the start, because I expected to be doing it at the end, because I was quite far ahead after the qualifying. And even though I did stop first, I only had one back marker I had to deal with and no fighting at all. So that I got quite lucky with how people were positioned.
Yeah, I would say so. I was wondering when before the other drivers had pitted, where you would come out in relative to them after your stop, because it was a pretty good tactical call getting it out of the way early. We also saw Denise doing the same, getting a super early pit stop for her, though that might have been too early. And she also didn't take tires as well. And and ran it to a nice P4 in AM.
That's pretty good.
Doing a good job, but nevertheless, next time out, Mick. Next time out, we'll be racing at Brands Hatch.
Oh,
A slimmer of chance of rain there. We know that Porsches are good in the rain. Are you looking forward to a little bit of a showdown there if the weather or the skies open up?
I do have to say, I still have to practice rain, so I do have to do that. But I know Porsches are good, so it should be fun. Also for the fact that there's not really overtaking opportunities on Brands Hatch, so it's really, if you get out early and in front, so it's a really good position to be in.
Qualifying will be important, as we actually see in the highlights now, the rubbing you had with parts, also with Priatco there going through the wannabe turn 8 style Turkey corner. Yeah, when we go to Brands Hatch, it's a track where if you want to overtake, you have to be right in the back of someone and hope they make a slight mistake to try an optimistic move somewhere. But yeah, you're going to practice qualifying a bit more than race maybe for that one?
Probably, yeah. First it's the 2.4 hours, and then it's a week long of Brands training.
Yeah, most definitely. Also, question for wins: are you expecting to do a lot of qualifying practice before the Brands Hatch race, or are you just banking on race pace?
Good question. A bit of both, I think. Although maybe it's a bit more important than on this race. Although I practice quite a lot on quali pace, but actually today I did my fastest lap ever on COTA. So, but on a shorter race, it's maybe even more important. So, yeah, gonna do a bit of practice if I got some time. Normally it should work out. So, yeah, looking forward to see what the McLaren can do on Brands.
Most definitely. I have done quite a bit of practice so far, and I think I'm third on the practice board at the minute. So I feel like it does have a good chance on Brands Hatch if you are brave enough to risk the corners. Yeah. But before we round off this stream, then a quick question to both of you: are you planning to go racing when we get the GT2 championship going quite soon?
Not immediately. Maybe in the future, who knows? But not at the moment. Got 4 children, so it's already a bit of puzzling to do the racing and then the endurances. So not in the short
the children to do the racing, maybe.
Well, they pay my rig.
Exactly. Mick, how about you? GT2 racing for you when it starts up?
I'm not sure if I will do the GT2 championship because my Thursdays are usually filled with other sports. But I am doing GT2 in the 2.4, so I will get my fill of the new cars anyway.
We are looking forward to hearing at least how the GT2 cars feel when we get there. But anyways, I feel like this
before we leave, I got a question for you, Mr. Anderson.
Make it quick.
Okay, what is your opinion on the sinking of HMS Hood by the German battleship Bismarck in 1941?
Well, it obviously didn't matter that much, as it was a way too old warship for the Second World War, and the aircraft carriers was the only thing to go by later on in that war. So obviously the sinking of the Bismarck was a shame because of all the sailors that lost their lives in the event, and may they rest in peace. But nevertheless, yeah, a good showing from the British Navy as well, getting such a massive ship down.
Yeah, they got a bit lucky, but in the end, they did a good job. That's true.
Oh yes, I love wartime documentaries. Anyways, I was Oliver Anderson, and behind the cameras was Grandpa Chris Hill, as always. Only one thing left to say: thank you for tonight. Good evening, good night, good day, wherever you are in the world, and see you again maybe on Friday, depending on whether or not we get the broadcasting going for the 2.4, or else we'll see you next week. Good night. Exit song. Ba ba da ba ba.